you?
The watch guy. Jason, the watch guy. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I am going to get absolutely rinsed for that intro when I go back to work, but you know, I've got a month off, so yeah. This is probably one of the more anticipated watch comparisons I've ever put out. I think it's the most anticipated comparison I've ever done, to be fair. A lot of you have been asking for it in the comments. A lot of you have been asking me which watch I prefer out of the two. You've probably guessed it already. This is my comparison of the Pagani Design 007 Seamaster Homage and the Phylida 007 Seamaster Homage. As you're probably already aware, these two are both available on AliExpress. Now you can pick up the Pagani Design at the Trendy Men's Watch Store. That's who I used to pick mine up. If you bought it in the sale, you can pick it up between £84 and £94, depending on whether you want a bracelet or a really nice tropic strap that they do. And I'm a bit gutted that I didn't get the tropic strap, so I might go and buy one. It is nice. Or you can pick this Phylida up on the Phylida official store. Now, they aren't participating in the 11/11 sale from what I can see. Maybe they'll do a little promotion on 11/11, so you can't see the prices now, but as far as I am aware, they're not putting this out with any sort of discount. This one comes in between £73 and £84, depending on whether you want it with the Chinese movement or the Miyota 8215. Now, I'll let you know my feelings on those movement choices when we get into the video. So guys, without further ado, it's what you've been waiting for. Pagani Design or Phylida? Let's turn this camera around and find out. Here we go guys, the battle of the bonds. So we have the Pagani Design on one side and the Phylida sat here on the other side. I am really sorry, but these two catch the light very, very heavily. So as you can see there, both of them bouncing the light around. They are quite reflective. I also apologise for the little flicks of paint on my hands today. I have been painting the house, so yeah, I apologise. Let's get into this. So before we start mentioning the categories today, we have 10 of them, a point for each. So we're going to go about this as methodically as possible. First of all, let's talk about the pricing again. So this Pagani Design here is the more expensive model today. This one comes in between £87 and £94 in the 11/11 sale. Outside of the sale, it is £100 plus. So if you're looking to get this, I would definitely be jumping on this Wednesday on the 11/11 sale. The Phylida here is not involved in the 11/11 sale, unfortunately, but it does come in cheaper still, between £73 and £84. If you wanted to pick it up with the Chinese movement option, that is £73. With the Miyota 8215 in there, we are talking £84. Now, our first category today is the casing and case size. So as you can probably already tell, one of these is slightly bigger. Now, the Phylida here comes in at a very reasonable 41mm, just slightly under on my calipers. It is 46.7mm lug to lug, so very wearable on wrist. And in terms of the casing, it has a really nice crown guard that flows up to meet the crown here, and we do have this faux helium escape valve. Not functional, but it does complete that Seamaster look. As well as that, we have really nice levels of finishing on this casing. In fact, both of these watches actually have really nice levels of finishing around the casing here. Now, this Pagani Design here has a slightly bigger case. It is 42mm, but it does look a lot bigger, and lug to lug, it is 49mm, so that is edging towards that 50mm size, which I'm not the biggest fan of. No helium escape valve or faux helium escape valve on this one. They have just gone for a more classical type of casing. However, that does take away from the Seamaster type of style. So looking at these two side to side and deciding which one I prefer myself in terms of casing and sizing, it's definitely the Phylida. It's a more wearable watch, and it does have that faux helium escape valve, and I like that it brings that type of Seamaster vibe to it. So this is 1-0 to the Phylida. Now, as we move on into the movements in these watches, they've both gone different ways. So the Pagani Design is packed with an NH35 movement, the old reliable NH35. I never really have a complaint about them at this type of price range. I think it's pretty reliable. I think it does the job at this price range, and it does the job at slightly higher price ranges too. So I'm quite happy with that myself. Now we move on to the Phylida, and we all know that I bought the one with the Miyota movement, and to be honest, I regretted it. The Chinese movement didn't appeal to me at the time because I thought a Miyota movement's more well known and it'd probably hold up a little better, but after getting this one, I'm going to go for a Chinese movement next time. It's not hacking, the Miyota 8215. As well as that, it's pretty old, pretty outdated type of movement. Miyota are owned by Citizen. They now make a 9000 series, which I hear is pretty good. So I need to try one of them out, but this 8000 series just doesn't hack it anymore, unfortunately. Get that? Hack it, not hacking, you know? No one get that? Okay. As well as that, it's loud as hell. It's just, it doesn't have a place in modern watchmaking, I don't believe, unfortunately. Unless you're going ultra budget. I don't personally want to own one of these movements again. Let me just pass this to the microphone and show you how loud that movement is. Yeah, not something I'm a fan of. So we give this point to the Pagani Design, and it is 1-1. Now moving on to the bezel, which was actually a talking point in one of these videos. So firstly, the Phylida bezel has a really nice tool type of click to it. There is a slight bit of play, slight bit of play there. So it's not perfect, but it's acceptable at the price range, I believe. I wouldn't hold it against it too much. 120 click unidirectional bezel. It's a black ceramic insert. It has a gold type of tone to it, as you can see here. Really nice gold accents on the numerals and markings. Not too much bounce in it, and we have a Lume pip up here at the 12 o'clock, which is centered well in that triangle. It's not really what the Phylida has to offer that's massively better than the Pagani Design, or better than expected. The issue with the Pagani Design is that the bezel isn't very good. Now, Pagani have actually contacted me and told me that they are fixing this issue, but I can only really review what's in front of me. So I guess on this model, the one that I bought, the play on it is absolutely horrendous. It really is. Now, as well as that, this pip is actually loomed, but it's off center to me, which I didn't really enjoy. And the colouring of the accents on it isn't really gold, it's more brown. I'd have preferred the more gold tone that we have in the Phylida. So unfortunately, this just didn't do enough for me to warrant giving a point to it, and it definitely gives this one up to the Phylida, which is now 2-1 in the lead. At this point, we're going to talk about Lume. Now, we all know that AliExpress watches aren't always very well known for their Lume. They tend to cheap out at that point, but one of these have actually done quite well. Now the Phylida, the Lume isn't bad, right? Phylida actually contacted me after me doing the video on these, well actually after doing the video on the Phylida itself, and said that I hadn't charged the Lume enough. So take from that what you will, maybe that is my fault, but I test these under the same circumstances every time. I charge them for the same amount of time with the same light, so I'm okay with putting this comparison together. So here are the Lume shots for you. Yeah, there's one clear winner here. Now, Pagani Design haven't always been great with their Lume. They tend to cheap out on some of their models, but in this one, as I said, it is more of a premium Pagani Design, and they have put a decent level of Lume into it, which I was glad to see, because as well as hiring the price, they do actually have signs of improvement. So, you know, they're not just hiring the price because it's a nicer looking watch. They are actually putting better specifications into it, which, you know, that's what I expect when you see a price range increase. One thing that I will give to the Phylida, the aged faux patina type of look on their Lume does look better than the Pagani Design. I think it's because they have a bigger base for the Lume, but I do have to give this one to Pagani, which has pulled it back for the 2-2. So it's looking pretty even at this point. Now we move on to the crown and case back. I did mention that the Phylida does have this faux helium escape valve. Now that doesn't come into this, however it is screwed down, which is quite funny, isn't it? Because it has no sort of function at all. But it's nice to see that they gave it a go. They actually, completed a full homage type of look. Now this crown is screwed down, and I do like how it flows into the casing. It's doing its basic amount. The thing that really does separate these two watches is the case back. So the Phylida case back is plain as hell. It's just a brushed case back with this weird type of design around it, which I imagine would be hard to unscrew. Now, as we move on to the Pagani, the thing that tips it for me is that this one actually has a display case back. It shows off that really functional NH35 movement, which I like. I like to see the movements in back of watches. I do like display case backs. As well as that, they have some information around the case back, which shows you a little bit of quality, shows you a bit more design. The crown on this one is bigger than on the Phylida, and honestly, I'd call it a draw between the crowns. What really gives this point to Pagani is that the case back is more decorative, and I enjoy it a bit more. So, point to Pagani, and they pull 3-2 into the lead. Next category that we have is dial design. So, I know that's a weird one because these are pretty much the same types of dials, right? But there are subtle differences. Now, one thing that Pagani have done well, and things I like about it, is down here they have Japan movement labelled on the bottom of the dial, either side of the 6 o'clock, and the date window is a good size. It's not colour matched, it does stand out at the 3 o'clock, but it is a good size, a good legible size. So I quite like that about the Pagani. However, on the Phylida, the date window is much smaller, which I wasn't actually aware of until I put them together. So that is a slight downside, but I will actually give the point here to Phylida. I think the indices are better sized, not just because they're bigger, but I feel like the boldness of the indices really does give a little bit extra to the dial. On the Pagani, it's kind of a big amount of free space in the center, which I don't really like. On the Phylida here, we have a really nice minute track. The indices are well sized. As well as that, we have this really nice arrowhead, this British military issue arrowhead. Obviously, it's not a British military issued watch, but that does follow through from the 007 design. That's what I like about it. I feel like they've gone for a full homage and they've done well with that. As well as that, the minute track is also the same type of design, and I think it's printed very well. It matches the indices well, and it matches the bezel really well too. So I think I really do have to give this one to Phylida. Now that I am on the topic of full homage, another thing that Phylida have done really well with this watch is the handset. They've used a Seamaster style handset, which I like. I like that it's a Seamaster handset because that's part of the homage. You buy a homage watch, so it gives you that feeling of the original design watch, and that Seamaster handset is really nice on here. I like the little red tip on the second hand. Also, I think that's a nice design cue. So personally, between the two, I would prefer the Phylida handset. The sword style handset on the Pagani design is nice. It's different. It's obviously a design that they've gone a different way with, so they've put their own stamp on it. But personally, I prefer the Phylida in this case, which is now 4-3 ahead. Now, another talking point, as well as that bezel on the Pagani design review, was this bracelet. Now, I think this bracelet's quite premium. I think it has a premium feel to it. The build quality is quite premium. Bracelet and clasp category, I've paired them together. The clasp is actually well machined. It's a milled clasp, as you can see. We also have a diver's extension, which is quite stiff but accessible. However, the clasp on this one is really, really stiff, really hard to get back in to position once you've got it on wrist. As well as that, as you see here, there's a massive overhang on the bracelet here where we have these male end links. So that's really apparent on wrist. I'll show you the wrist shot in a little second. Yeah, unfortunately that does it for me. Now the bracelet on the Phylida kind of does the same type of thing, but it's a little bit more subdued. It's less noticeable because they have these alternate type of male end links, which actually fit really nicely to wrist. This one's really comfortable on wrist. It's a little bit stiff on certain links. We have double screw in links on this one, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I prefer single screw links. You have to kind of unscrew both sides and then push the pin out from the center on this one. However, again, it's not really where Phylida are doing massive amounts more than Pagani. It's just that they're doing what Pagani are doing, but doing it well. So same type of clasp, but it works, you know, and the bracelet is less of a premium feel, but they have really nice levels of brushing and polish, and I do like the male end links more on this one. So this one is again handed to the Phylida, which is now 5-3 in the lead. So we have a couple of points left. We have 2 points left to give out, and the Phylida is 2 ahead. We move on to the crystals now, which are both sapphire. I'm just gonna give you this little shot here. So they are both domed. However, this double domed sapphire on the Phylida is very, very nice. The Pagani does something very different. It is a tabletop sapphire, which is really nice. It gives a real premium feel to the watch, and it distorts the dial quite nicely also. So they are both really nice crystals and really premium looking crystals. However, the Pagani kind of just tips it a little bit for me. So 5-4 to Phylida. The Pagani claws back a point. Now we fall into the final category, and it's one that I like to bring up. Branding. I think that's a big thing for watches personally, and it's always a big thing that comes up in my Phylida reviews, and that is because they don't really have any. So crowns, both points unsigned. We do have a signed dial, which I bloody expect, but you can buy it without one. You can buy a sterile dial. Also, the clasp has no branding on it, and the caseback has no branding also, which lets me down. So what does Pagani do that Phylida doesn't? Well, they have a signed crown, they have a signed clasp, and they have the Pagani design print on the caseback, as well as some information. As well as that, when you look at brands themselves, now if I put into a watch group a Pagani design, it'll get a little bit of hate, but people will know what it is. They know that it's an AliExpress brand, they know that it is a Homage brand, and they know that quite a few people actually do like them nowadays. However, if I put a Phylida into a watch group, a lot less people are going to know what it is, where it's from, and I'm probably going to get even more hate. However much I like the brand Phylida, well, I like the company Phylida, Pagani Design is a much better brand, I guess. So I do have to give this one to Pagani Design. And we come in at a stalemate of 5-5. So let me put them both on wrist, show you what they look like, and then we'll get into my conclusion. 3 watches on the table now. I know which one I'd take out of all 3. So this is the Phylida on wrist. Very nice, very fitting watch. It fits to my smaller wrists much better than the Pagani does. The Pagani does fit well to my wrist, but this Phylida with that more compact lug to lug is a much easier wear for me. The Pagani design is a lovely looking watch. It is a little bit bigger than the Phylida. It does have a little bit more presence on wrist. If you prefer a bigger watch, then the Pagani design is the one to go for. If you prefer a smaller, more precise looking watch, then I would side with the Phylida. Now let me get this off wrist and I'll get into a conclusion for you. So guys, there we have it, the Phylida and the Pagani design. Now I didn't actually plan it this way, but coming out as a draw is a pretty suiting end to this video. Yeah, so I'm not going to tell you which one I prefer. I'm just going to leave it there. No, no, that would be absolutely terrible, really, wouldn't it? Especially considering everyone all week has been asking me which one I prefer so they can pick which one they want in the sale. But I do have a conclusion. Now, if you are a fan of the full homage look, the full Seamaster homage look, the full 007 Seamaster homage look, you just have to get the Phylida. You really do. Personally, I wouldn't be opposed to picking it up in a Chinese movement. If I had my time again, that's what I'd do. I'd pick up the Chinese movement version. £73 for a watch that looks this good, has really good specifications. I just don't think you can complain about that. Now, if you want one that's branded slightly better, maybe has a different sort of twist on the Seamaster look, then you definitely have to go for the Pagani. It has a different style handset, different style case, different style bracelet, and yeah, I guess a lot of people are going to go for this watch over the Phylida, and I understand why. So the question at the beginning of the video is, which one would I buy if I could only have one? Personally, well, it's a tough choice, but if I only had one, it'd be my mate the Phylida here. It has a really loud movement. It doesn't do everything perfectly, but it does do quite a bit very well, and it looks gorgeous. So if I could only have one of these, I would side with the Phylida. I would tell you to go and buy the Phylida. So there's my opinion, guys. If you would like to pick up either of these watches, the affiliate links are in the description. I do get a little bit of a kickback from them, so I would greatly appreciate that. Obviously, my advice to you is to wait for the 11/11 sale if you're going to pick either of them up. I don't know if Phylida are going to put a sale on, so it may just be the £73 to £84. But Pagani Design, if you're going to buy it at any point, go and get it in the sale. They also have different colorways in this if you don't like the Bond type of theme. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for the patience in waiting for me to put this one out. I know a lot of people have asked for it quite a lot, but I thought this was the perfect time for me to do it a couple of days before the sale. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.